Coach Hall, thank you for joining us. Last Friday night was the season opener against Columbia. Unfortunately, the score did not go in our favor, a 42-6 loss. Let's start with your overall reaction for how the game went last Friday night.
Just disappointed in the way, um, just the way we handled a little bit of adversity once we came off of the lightning delay. I thought, for the most part, it seemed like our kids handled that relatively well. What was an hour, maybe hour or so. Um, then we came out and we got a first down, but then defensively, we just what we had talked about all week, even throughout the first quarter. If you keep everything in front, they don't have anything. Like, we were playing well against a run. We were getting pressure on the quarterback, but we knew the key for their offense was the big play, especially over the top. And we give up the one, which, all right, you get the one, it's still a ball game. But then we let that one turn into 3 quarters of just bad defense. And so that was the disappointing thing because I thought we had a good plan going in. But apparently, I have not done a well enough job of making sure they know exactly what to do on the back end, assignment wise, keeping everything in front. So that was the thing that stung the most is I thought we could play with those guys. Now, granted, they're a good team, and they hats off to them. They made more plays. They won the game. But man, we made it really easy in that second quarter, and we just never responded. I mean, it's still a two possession game at halftime,
Sure.
and we played like we were down 5 touchdowns.
Well, going into before the rain delay, they did us some favors by dropping a
They did.
a
Yep.
long ball, but then we make the most of our long pass and we go up 6-0, and our defense is playing pretty well. We're doing what we need to do, but then man, that weather delay just really seemed to just suck all the air out of the team. So I guess kind of walk us through all that. Okay, the referee signals, hey, it's a lightning delay, it's a weather delay. Go back to your locker rooms. You're in a locker room for, like you said, about an hour, where then you can go out on the field and warm back up. So I guess kind of what was your process? What happened in the locker room, and then just getting us back out onto the field.
Yeah. So as soon as we got in there, we had them, sit down, get off your feet, just reminded them, all right, during this time, like physically, you've seen that we can play with them. And
Sure.
so now mentally, you've got to stay engaged, stay locked in, because we didn't know how long we were going to be in there. And so then at that point, got together with the coaches, and then we immediately went just over some defensive things, formation. Could we have misaligned a couple times in that first quarter? We went over that the one where they dropped it, but it got behind us, and just reemphasizing, man, we're in this coverage. Just stay deep, just keep it in front. And so just went over that. Got back with coaches, offense, got on the board. Um, and so then once we saw we were about 15, 20 minutes out, we get them up, we start stretching, you know, shoulder pads on, and that way once we hit the field, we're ready to go. But so again, I don't want to, like, they had to handle the same thing. So we're not going to sit here and make an excuse or blame the delay for us not playing well. We didn't play well because we went out, we didn't do our job, we weren't disciplined. But again, that starts with me and making sure that we're disciplined in what we do, our assignments. I didn't think we fought hard enough up front, especially on the offensive line, and we've told the guys those things. That's a senior heavy offensive line, which we expect to go out and play physical and compete. And granted, Columbia is very good up front, but we're better than what we showed, and so it was just, I think, even an eye opener. Like, all right, we have the pieces, but that's not enough just to say we have the pieces. We've got to go out and play together and play at the level that we are all capable of playing. And we just didn't do that, and we didn't respond to being down 2 scores. We gave up the one right before the half, which was very disappointing because at that point it would have been 14-6 going to the half. So we just, again, we made it very easy and gave that big cushion, which was very unavoidable. But there's one thing, and we told them back in camp, if we don't fix these things, we're going to have to learn the hard way. And so we learned the hard way. Unfortunately, first game, great opponent. It really set us up, moving forward. We can always look back and reference this from the missed assignments, but also the quality of opponent that we played. And so now, watching the film and learn from it today, made the corrections, and now getting ready for Lafayette.
Well, even think about it, coach. I think it was their second touchdown where it's a fourth and
Mm.
14 or whatever, and it's he's almost all the way out of
Yes.
bounds, and just I truly believe if that's not a fourth down play,
Yeah.
he's not throwing that ball up like he did. So I mean, I guess credit to them for
Yeah.
just playmakers making plays, but I mean that was just especially heartbreaking to see like oh we've done everything right, we've got him in fourth and long, we've got him all the way outside in the pocket, and then just kind of throws it up, and their guy makes a play, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's the situation there where our defensive end has to keep that contained, has to keep that guy inside the pocket, and if anything, lay out because he tripped right as he's getting to the sideline, and it gave the quarterback just enough space to get the ball off. And then on the back end, we didn't stay with the one receiver. They ended up catching the ball. We let it get behind us. We didn't bat the ball down. We didn't go the highest point. So again, a lot of small coaching details that we didn't execute there. And again, when you put their athletes in a situation where they're going to go up and get it, they've got the guys to do it. But again, if we're in position and we don't do what we were supposed to do on the front end and the back end, then it's a turnover on downs. So again, those are the frustrating moments. Is those plays were very avoidable and should have been in the favor of us.
On the offensive side of the ball, it seemed like after the first couple drives, it just was difficult to kind of get things going
Yeah,
for you guys. So, what did you see? Like, what adjustments did Columbia do after the first couple drives? Just what did you see from your offensive unit?
we never got the ground game going. And then once we got behind, now we become one dimensional. We become very predictable as far as we're going to throw the ball. And when you play a team like Columbia that's got great defensive linemen, speed on the back end, that becomes very hard to move the ball. So first and foremost, we have to establish the run game. Like that just has to be who we are. Not that we're not going to throw the ball because we have great receivers, we have great tight end, we have a quarterback that can get on the ball, but we've got to be meaner, nastier, and more disciplined up front. Um, that way, again, when it's a close game and defense is playing the way we're supposed to play, we play complementary football. The granted points are going to be at a premium against a team like Columbia, but there's no reason that we shouldn't have moved the ball better. But it really came down to we never got the run game going, became one dimensional, and we saw they were teeing off on the quarterback and getting good pressure. So that's where we've got to be better up front is establishing early the run game.
Well, coach, even in a difficult loss like this, were there any particular moments that stood up for you? I think Kyler Watson having 4 sacks, which, from what we understand, that is a single game record. It's tied with a bunch of other people, I'm assuming, but nonetheless, he had a great individual performance, had 4 sacks. I know even in a tough loss, it's kind of hard to watch that film and digest what you saw, but now you've had a chance to kind of process last Friday night. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean that adds to the frustration of how the game played out is because we got after the quarterback. Like they never really had a clean pocket, whether it's Watson getting to him, and he probably had another 3 or 4 that he was close to getting.
Sure.
The run game, I thought we played the run well. They had some here and there, but nothing big like we had against Bishop Kenny. So again, it was the big plays that did us in. Um, so there were a lot of good things that I saw. I thought Josh Johnson played a much better game than the previous week. I thought Bubba Lovett played maybe the best of anybody on the field defensively at corner. Played a smart game, played physical. He was good in his technique. And that kid just plays with high energy and high effort all the time. He's really a team favorite. I mean, that kid gets after it. Bubba's a great kid. So I thought he played well. And then, again, it's we keep saying it, but it's the big plays that we have got to find a way to eliminate those. Because when we do, and we can continue to get better against the run, we're going to be a good defense. But we do have some youth out there. We have some young kids that this is their first starting action or Friday night action, and so we've got to get them. Man, this is the standard that we have to play at. So it's there. The tools are there. We just got to get it done.
Turning the page to this upcoming week, we go on the road, we face Lafayette. What is something that is a big takeaway for you that you're trying to hone in on this week at practice?
Mentally, you better, and we said this in the field house after the game, you can't let Friday night beat you twice. So as bad as we played at times and the corrections we made today in film, like that's done. Like we're 0-1. Lake City got the victory, but now it's on to Lafayette. And if you go into Lafayette with your mind not right and ready to play, that's going to be a very tough ball game because they're going to be very well prepared. They're going to physically play tough. They're going to have a great game plan. It's going to be a huge environment. Everybody in the town is going to be there. I mean, we saw last year they came over here.
They traveled well.
They traveled well. They scored the first drive. Defensively, they got after it. And our kids, it took about 3 quarters to really get into the game mentally. So we have to step off the bus, ready to play mentally, physically. We've got to take over and be the dominant team that we can be. But this one's really big in between the years just because we've got to move past the loss. We're playing a team that's smaller than us, so you have the mental battle. Well, that's just Lafayette. They're a smaller team. Sure. And if you approach it that way, you're setting yourself up for a very long night because any given Friday night, any given Sunday, like you better show up ready to play. And Coach Edwards, they always have their kids ready, and they have a great athlete at quarterback that can extend plays, that can throw it over the top, very physical running back. So it's going to be a great environment, and we mentally have to go in with everything that happened last Friday behind us.
Coach just gave you a little bit of preview for this upcoming Lafayette game. We'll get into our first commercial break. After that, we'll talk a little bit more about the Hornets.
No matter what's around the corner, we'll be there. That's why Farm Bureau Insurance has been a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise.
Local people, great rates, friendly service. That's the Farm Bureau Insurance promise. Farm Bureau Insurance, serving Florida for over 70 years. In Suwannee County, you'll find Farm Bureau in Branford and in Live Oak. In Branford on Drain Street, phone 935-1274. And in Live Oak on Dowling Avenue, call 362-1274. Farm Bureau Insurance.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Van Carpet One. For 78 years, we've been your local family-owned and operated floor covering store, and we can't wait to serve you. Let's go check out some of the stuff we've got and say hey to the guys.
Hey guys, this is Michael Van here at Van Carpet One. Wanted to show you our huge display of carpet. Got about 1,000 rolls for you that we can order. We also keep about 100 in stock that are on clearance, so please come down and give us a visit. We appreciate it.
Come in and see the largest tile collection in North Florida. Van Carpet One has every tile you could possibly imagine. If you can't find it here, they don't make it. Guys, take a look at this. This is just some of our options in waterproof vinyl plank where we have the largest selection anywhere around here, including over 70 pallets in stock, ready to go right now. Come in and see our fantastic selection of elegant hardwood too, followed up by fantastic service that you expect from a company like Van Carpet One.
Come on in and see us.
We can't wait to serve you. And that's a boom shakalaka.
And welcome back here to the Coach's Show. Coach, we're doing this show here on Monday night, so this has been your first day that you've had a chance to get back on the field after the Friday night results. Just what did you see from your energy and effort standpoint from your team today for practice?
When we stepped on the field, it was not good. We had a case on the Mondays, and we were still –
Well, and they don't have school today, so I don't think that helps anything.
Those are the worst days. When they don't have school, we brought them in at 1 o'clock, got a lift in, watched film. So you go through the mistakes and the corrections and the coaching, which that's something that you have to learn to get used to as well, is watching film and taking the coaching, getting the corrections. And so then we stepped on the field and we just no energy, and but we fixed that. We got the energy out. It was a long practice. It was a tough practice. It was a practice that hopefully makes you hate losing more. And I tell them all the time, I'm a bad loser. I wish I was a better loser, but I'm a bad loser.
No, you don't. You don't want to be a better loser.
I know, exactly. And I want these kids I want them to hate losing. And so when you don't play the way you should, don't let it just linger. Be disappointed, be upset. Let's correct it and move forward. But you should be very disappointed in the way we played Friday. And you should be ready and amped up to get back on the field and make the corrections to get better and get ready for Lafayette. So it wasn't a great start to the practice, but it became a very tough, good practice.
So today was a professional development day for us as Swanee County School District employees, and you professionally developed your squad today.
We did. It was PD all around. We got the hours in. We got our signatures on the paper. It was a good day.
Coach, one thing when you were just talking about that, it made something come to my mind. You know, you talk about having this new coaching staff, or not necessarily the new coaching staff, just the new pieces to this coaching staff, and having a fresh perspective. This has probably been your first week that you could really dive into film. I know you got Bishop Kenny and some other stuff over summer as well, but you know, this was your first Friday night action to really dive into the game film. What did you notice, like with the new set of eyes and just everyone's new fresh perspective that you maybe are glad to have a part of this coaching staff?
Yeah. So one, they are watching film. They are, you know, not just watching the game, but seeing their position, seeing the mistakes, taking notes, bringing it to the meeting on Sunday. You know, changing personnel where it needs to be, changing scheme where it needs to be, bringing up just a different way to look at things, a different way to do things, ways we can be more efficient. So that's what I have been very impressed so far with the staff is they're all working. They're not just on the sideline wearing the shirt. Like they're coaching, they're correcting. But as I told them, like, this is on us to get this fixed. Like, yes, the players have to go out and play, but we've got to put them in a position to be successful. We got to make sure they're playing hard and understand why to play hard. Make sure they understand their assignments. So this group has been doing it, as well as getting, you know, young guys ready for JV. So I don't like the PD days just because you're not with them all day. So you don't know what they do from morning till noon, which they probably stay up all night and get up at 11:30.
I think it's a 3-day weekend when really
Exactly.
it's really not.
Yeah, but I did appreciate the way they came into the meeting on Sunday. Even after the game Friday, we met right there at the in my office and just kind of hash some things out. You know, watch fresh, and then you watch film on Saturday, make the corrections, grade it, and then we get ready on Sunday.
So turning the page to the Lafayette Hornets, a very tough physical team. They really gave us a lot of trouble last year. They're in the doghouse. Now, of course, they get the chance to return the favor this year as we're traveling to them this Friday night. What stands out from you watching this team on film?
Again, the quarterback, he was hurt a little bit last year, played sparingly. They put him at receiver, played quarterback a little bit, but he was not 100%. He's 100%, and, man, he can run. He can throw it down the field. Tight end's a big fella, number 15, number 1, big physical running back. Offensive line is not as big as Columbia, but they're disciplined. They're going to cut you. They're going to try to slow you down. They're going to give you some different looks. And again, you got to think about. I don't know if I don't believe, to my knowledge, that Swanee's ever played at Lafayette. I know they played in the spring game back in Coach Rogers, maybe first or second year. But I want to believe this is the first time we've played over there. So you just got to understand the environment that you're going to step into when you go over there. So, again, getting back to the mental preparation, being ready to play. And then defensively, they're not as explosive on film as what we saw against Columbia. Now, granted, that doesn't mean anything once we get on the field next Friday night. We have to go out and execute and do our job, establish the run game. But they're a team, again, that's going to be very well coached. They're not afraid of our guys. So they're not fearing Swanee when we come over there. So we have to go and establish early a dominant offensive line, dominant defensive line. But the quarterback is the key kind of to everything that they do. He starts at cornerback as well. So a really good athlete, and we got to make sure we have him contained and try to make other guys, force him to make plays.
It's very interesting, to go from week 1 to week 2 where, okay, like we talked about last coach's show, you don't have to get ready for Columbia.
Right.
If we got to get ready for Columbia, we've already lost.
Yeah.
More than likely. But, it's interesting going from the hunted from the hunters to the hunted now, where with Lafayette, where it's almost like the shoes on the other foot, where it's like, okay, now we need to make sure we're up and ready to go because, okay, it's easy to have the letdown of, okay, this isn't Columbia, this isn't that. But you got to come ready to play nonetheless, Coach. And I think last year's game probably was a good indication of that.
Yeah, you do. Because the following week we have Madison and then we have Gobby. And as we told our kids early on, we can't afford to look past anybody. Like there's no the way our schedule's set up, it's literally a 1 day, 1 week at a time type of thing. We got to go take care of Lafayette. Like we have to go over and win this game. It's important for us to go out and fix some mistakes that we had last week, go out and execute, have a cleaner game. We've got to cut out penalties. Special teams was very disappointing. We had a blocked kick. We had a blocked punt. We gave a big kickoff return. We had a substitution error. So we played very sloppily special teams. We've got to clean up all of that. And that alone, just the cleanup and the corrections will make us play much better. Because if you go in and you give Lafayette confidence and you play sloppy and you have some mistakes and you have some turnovers, man, that's where it becomes a game that you don't want to be a part of. So we've got to establish early the dominance in the game. But that, again, the mindset is going to play such a huge part of that.
And I think in the opposite respect, Coach, they probably would be okay with it being a rock fight. They're probably, okay, yeah, come on, let's
They're
drag you
not
down
afraid
to
of
the
that.
mud. Let's bring you down to our level, for
Yeah.
lack of better terms, you know.
Yeah,
But let's bring you down to our level, and let's see what you got.
For sure. You know, they're coming off of a relatively easy win against Dixie County. I mean, they handled Dixie County. So they're pretty fresh. You know, they probably were able to pull some starters out in the second half. So they're going to be rested, fresh, and ready to go. They're coming off of a win. I don't care who you beat. When you come off of a win, you feel good, like you feel confident. So we're it's two different teams and two different scenarios. But once that ball is kicked, man, it's go time, and our guys better step off ready to go, ready to play.
I know you talked about the quarterback and the challenges he presents. What other kind of challenges do you expect from them offensively and defensively?
They're going to running game is where I think they're going to try to establish it. They brought out a little bit different scheme last year, so they're going to have some wrinkle that we didn't see last week. Just with his ability to run, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some type of option look because number one is a big physical running back. I mean, he gets downhill, loves contact. So that's where I think they're going to establish it. They're going to have some wrinkles, reverse, trick play, whatever you want to call it. They'll have something that we haven't seen. So, again, us playing discipline, keeping everything in front. And then defensively, they're a 3-3 stack. So, blitzes can come from any and every direction. I think personally, I did see they had some guys out this past week, so wouldn't be surprised if they're back. So, they'll have some better players that maybe were out last week. But, again, it's this week, and I know it's kind of coach talk, but this is really about us cleaning up our mistakes defensively and giving up the big plays, and then offensively establishing the run game, and then hitting these big plays that we can get in the passing game.
Who are some players you're looking to step up, whether from a leadership standpoint or just playmaking on the field Friday nights? Just who are some guys that you maybe pulled aside and said, hey, we know this wasn't our best effort. You know this wasn't your best effort, but let's turn the page and let's get to it.
Yep, Sykes has got to play better, and Sykes has got to step out and lead out in front. Like, he's a very talented quarterback. This kid's got Division I offers. Like, he has everything in a quarterback that you want. He can make all the throws. So I need him to be front and center and out and leading these guys, more of his voice. Our challenge is, man, when this is player-led, we're going to turn the page. And so we're continue to push those guys. And I think once these guys see one or two players doing it, then everybody kind of falls in line. And now you've got something special brewing. So Sykes is one I want to see really get going. Lou Jack, just with the offseason that he's had, I want to see him have a breakout game, like 100, 150, 200-yard type of game. Because then that, again, is going to open up everything else. It's going to make our receivers just that much more dangerous. We talked about Hunter Watson with him coming back. He's looked really good in the blocking scheme of things, but I want to see him catch it and get loose in the passing game. And then defensively, man, I want to see our secondary show up. Like, we've got to show up. I know we've got some younger guys. Kyle Brown's been banged up a little bit, but I want to see those guys play to their talent level. I thought our linebackers played better. Our front, played much better than we did against Bishop Kenny. So that back end of the secondary, we've got to show up.
You can't fake leadership, Coach. So, I know it's early in the season, and maybe with kind of, some of the older guys not on the team anymore, maybe some guys are kind of finding their way, but do you see someone kind of gravitating towards that vocal leadership? Because you want it to be natural, too. Like, if
you can't force it.
If you just lead by example kind of guy and, don't really say too much, then you don't need to be the rah-rah speech kind of guy.
Yeah.
But again, we're so early in the season, but what are you seeing from that leadership role?
Well, it's got to be authentic, and what we challenged our players today with, and even after the game, like, leadership starts with self-accountability. Like when you're trying to lead a group, you've got to make it known to them that, man, I'm part of this. I'm with you. Like, I'm not above you. I'm not like, I'm right in the mix. So, man, I didn't play well. Like, I've got to play better. Man, we're much better than this. So it's got to be a we and a me, self accountability type of thing instead of a y'all and you did this and y'all need to do this better. Like, that's not it. So that's where I see a lot of kids struggle is they try to lead and they try to be vocal, but it's more of a blame type of leadership. Like, no, let's don't blame. Coach Tommy Chambers saw him this weekend, and it's old saying. But when you point one finger at somebody else, you got three more coming back at you. And I know it's an old saying, but it's very true. So it's bringing everybody together, making sure that you're leading by example, and do it in your way, make it authentic. But it's got to start with self accountability and make sure that that individual is doing his job and he's putting the blame on him as well. Because I think guys and people gravitate to that more when they see somebody more of a humble standpoint. Like, man, he knows he messed up and he's out there front admitting it. So if he can admit it and he can own up to it, then I can do that same thing.
And I think so much of what I'm talking about and what you're referring to for leadership wise, we don't even get a chance to see it. Okay, yeah, we get to see you for a couple hours on a Friday night, and we might see some guys, out there that they look like they're leading the way, but this is the weight room that you talk about.
Everything.
This is the film sessions. This is the professionally developed practices that they were going through, like we did, like we talked about earlier today. That's where true leadership lies.
Yeah, it is. It's Friday night is just a reflection of everything you did Monday through Thursday. So if you're one that's drag tail in practice and you have a bad attitude, but then on Friday you want to try to lead, nobody's going to respect
Too
that.
late. Yeah.
No, it's like today we're running gassers at the end, and and we get to the last. I'd say, hey, all right, this is the last one. And then some of the guys that have been in the back the whole time, now all of a sudden they're the fastest two out, and they're out in front. And that all looks good, but where were you the previous 4 or 5 gassers? Like, why weren't you giving that same effort? So there's just has to be consistency and authenticity with that leadership, and making sure that you're leading from right there within the pack, and that's how you gain respect of your peers.
We got plenty more coming up here on the Coaches Show. For now, let's get into the Bulldog Bark and our player spotlight.
Hi, I'm Keith Hunter, and this is the Bulldog Bark. And joining me from the class of 1998, I've got Jeff Watson. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing well.
Jeff, now you played football back in 1998. We were talking off camera, and you played for 3 different coaches,
Correct.
3 different football systems,
Correct.
right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to focus on that, all right? We'll start out with Coach Pittman. What was it like playing for Coach Pittman?
It was tough.
Was it tough?
It was tough, but when you made it through the tough, you were ready for Friday night.
Right. Now, you played in Coach Pittman's last year, and Coach Pittman didn't win the state championship that year, right?
That's correct. We were the most talented football team to not win a state championship.
Right. And now I was going to ask you, playing for Coach Pittman and, 4 straight championships, what was it like? Was there pressure to try to repeat that success that they had in future, in the past?
Yeah, the expectation every year was to win a state championship. That was just that was the standard. That was the expectation.
Right. But let me ask you, how was it playing with that pressure, though?
Well, you knew growing up in Swanee that was the expectation. So we put that pressure on us as much as the coaches did because nobody wanted to be the guys that come through and didn't win one.
Right. Well, how did it feel when you guys did not win? Now, what about the 1997, your junior year?
We had a new coach. Coach Paul Andrew took over, and I think we wound up with around 20 or 22 guys total on the football team. And we dealt with a lot of injuries.
Right.
We came out and won the preseason kickoff classic against Gainesville East Side. We beat them pretty bad. And we had some injuries and came out and didn't win another game the rest of the year. We went from 14-2 to 0-10.
Wow. I guess that's a little humble pie there, isn't it?
That's a humbling experience.
Yes, it is. But Coach Landry, speaking of Coach Landry was a position coach when I played, and he was also one of my teachers, I think in 10th grade or 9th grade biology or something. But I'm talking about one of the smartest, probably, people I've ever met in my entire life.
He was my offensive line coach.
Right.
And he had me prepared to play football every time. There were no surprises on the football field when you got prepared by Paul Landry.
Did he smile at all?
No, he didn't smile.
Yeah, I haven't seen Coach Landry. I never saw him smile, but he was. I mean, Coach Landry was an awesome coach, an awesome guy, really. When you got to know him,
I love Coach Landry.
right? Yeah, yeah, definitely. You would know that. Hey, he would do anything for you.
Yep, he
You
was
know,
one of my favorite coaches.
right. And then of course Coach Wall comes around. How was it like when you made the transition from Coach Landry to Coach Jay Walls?
So he was completely different than
Right.
Coach Pittman and Coach Landry. Coach Landry was one of Coach Pittman's guys,
Right.
and the intensity and everything was really the a lot of the feel was the same with Coach Landry,
Right.
other than running a different offense. Coach Walls came in and it was, we went 0-10. We had to rebuild it.
Right. Right. Now, he did a great job rebuilding it because he eventually went to the state championship game.
Yeah, we went from 0-10 to turning it back around and making the playoffs. And
Right. Yeah.
1997 was my last year playing.
Right. Yeah. Well, Coach Walls, and what was it like? Like I said, you played for Pittman in the pro set, Coach Landry in the wing T, and then you go to Coach Walls. Uh, you get a lot more pulling when you play with Coach Walls, right?
Yeah, we ran a pro set, but
Okay.
we did pull the guards a lot.
Right.
And it was good to be in that offense, to be that heavily involved in it, getting out on the edge and leading for the running backs, and then pulling inside on these big guys and moving them out of the way too. It was a lot of fun.
What other sport did you play besides football?
I was on the track team.
The 440 relay?
I was one of the sprinters anchoring the 4x1. I threw the shot put in the discus.
Well, look at here now. I understand. And did you place any regional or district or state championships or anything?
I went to the regionals as a senior. I placed second in districts, and then as a senior, I made it to the regionals, but didn't advance on past the regionals.
Okay. And would you say, now going back to your football experience, did any of that prepare you for your success in track and field?
Well, it was a great opportunity for the coaches to tell us to go out there and throw the shot put and discus, and we
Right.
do that for a little bit. And they tell us to go get in the weight room.
Right.
So we'd use that time to get stronger, and stronger you are in football, the better, especially when you're a lineman.
Right. But I mean, but as far from a discipline standpoint, did the football prepare you for being more disciplined in track and field?
Oh yeah, we had work to do,
Right.
and you had to get the job done, be ready to go perform.
Right.
Track was a little different than football, obviously, but when you step out there, you want to perform, especially when you're wearing that green S on your chest.
Right. Now, speaking of the Green S, I understand you got two boys who also played for the Bulldogs.
I've got two boys.
They're playing now.
Hunter and Kyler. Hunter is a senior this year.